Thank everybody for coming tonight. So appreciate your attendance. We're just going to start with the minutes. Does everybody take a look at the March 6th meeting, please? If so, can I motion? Motion by Rich. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, April 24th meeting minutes. Everybody review those? So, motion by Dave. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. May 21st meetings.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Motion by Rich. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Public hearing, we don't have any. Presentation and comments. Anybody in the audience would like to speak to that? Yep, sure, ma'am. Come on up. If you can, just state your name and address for the minutes. Yep, sure, come on up.
Hi, my name is Wendy Seifert. I live in New Hartford on Mark's Place. And I'm here to, first of all, thank you for letting me speak. I want to thank all the support from the pickleball group that plays the Jewish Community Center. I'm here to talk to you about the construction of, possible construction of 6 pickleball courts at Sherrilbrook Park. I'm here on behalf of the local pickleball players. More players would have been here, but quite a few are still playing at the senior games, pickleball in Portland, New York State games. We had 5 medal winners yesterday, and actually we have 2 women who qualified for the national tournament next week in New Mexico. So it's pretty exciting for pickleball in our area. I'm a retired local phys ed teacher, and I taught pickleball for over 25 years to middle school and high school students. So I have firsthand knowledge of the popularity of pickleball. The kids loved it. And many of our local schools do teach pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing recreation sport in our country. And 4 years ago, indoor pickleball was started at the Jewish Community Center by Dave Meisley. Numbers have grown dramatically. With only 3 courts there, it's actually overcrowded because on some days we'll have as many as 30 people. There are 3 courts at the Parkwood Center as well. Their hours are very limited and it's geared mostly for players, but it's a great place to start. There are 3, so there's 3 courts at JCC, 3 at Parkway, no outdoor courts. Most people prefer to play outdoors. That's the way the game was originally developed. We have numerous tennis courts in the area, often underused, but no pickleball courts. There is a need, and I assure you these courts will be used a lot. As we look to upgrade the Parks and Recreation program, this is exactly the type of program we should be offering, just as many other towns in the state are doing. For those who are new to the game of pickleball, pickleball is a cross between tennis, badminton, and ping pong. It's played on a small court, the size of a badminton court. You use a paddle and a wiffle ball and a net like tennis. The skills are easy to learn, no fancy equipment is needed, and people of all ages can easily play. We have some players well into their 70s and 80s who are playing with us, very competitively. Unlike tennis, you don't need to be overly athletic or super fit. The game can be learned in very little time, and it's a great workout. A goal of a recreation program should get everyone moving, and that's what pickleball does. Last spring, I approached Mr. Missione about the future of the tennis courts at Sherrilbrook Park. They were in total disrepair, unplayable. Something needed to be done with them. It is a perfect setting for pickleball. The area is 120 feet by 120 feet, which can accommodate 6 regulation courts. I offered to research the cost of renovating the courts. I met with numerous companies over the past year. So thanks to the grant that the town was awarded from Senator Griffo's office, the park upgrades work began last fall. So what's begun? Quite a bit was accomplished last year. The surface needed to be redone. From a liability standpoint, it was cracked, divots. It was totally unsafe. So the surface was redone with a special kind of asphalt called Tennis Top 8F, specifically for tennis, pickleball, basketball courts, and so on. The existing fence was used, could be refurbished. That saved lots of money right there. A 4-foot fence was installed to separate the 2 rows of courts. 3 courts, a center net fence, and then 3 more courts. They paved a new entrance to the courts. The old entrance was in a mud hole. It was always underwater when we tried to get it to the courts. And posts, permanent posts, and heavy-duty nets were purchased for the 6 courts. What needs to be done to complete this project? The 12 posts need to be installed, and that's kind of a very labor-intensive kind of project. You have to go down 3.5 to 4 feet. Special sleeves are inserted, cemented in there so that the posts then go in. They also should be installing 6 center anchors. The nets have a strap in the center and they're anchored to the court, so those need to be installed. Once that's done, 3 coats of a specialized sealer is painted onto the entire surface. Very special so that it's good traction. There's a little bit of sand into it so that you're not slipping. Very safe. It's 3 coats of 2 different colors. The courts are blue and the surrounding area is green. Those are the traditional colors. There's other colors, but some of those are more expensive. The 6 courts then get lined, regulation lines of 2 inches in white. And that is a hand job that takes a lot of expertise. They put down 2 strips of basically painter's tape, and that gap in between, the 2-inch gap, is then hand painted with white. They're not sprayed on. Okay? We're hoping that these courts are going to be tournament quality. These courts are going to be the premier place to play pickleball because they're going to be so well built. After the lines are down, then our staff can attach the nets to the posts. There's some mechanisms that have to be added, but we are capable of doing that. I believe in your packet you got this sheet. I contacted numerous businesses that specifically do athletic courts. They sent me quotes, and the 3 that are listed on your paper are the top companies in the area. Probably every single court in our area was done by one of these 3 companies. They're the top ones. Mr. Miscioni has all of the paperwork. This is just kind of a bottom line item you can look at. 2 of the companies subcontract their post-installation because it is a very big job to do. One company, number 2, they do everything. The nice thing about that is the same company is responsible from beginning to end for the project. You don't have to worry about getting somebody in there to put posts in that aren't going to be quite to spec. So you can look that over, and again, Mr. Miscioni has all of the quotes and all the details. So that's what's left to be done to make them professional, tournament quality courts that will last forever. Now, when the courts are done, we plan to offer lessons, clinics, recreation programs, organized play times, tournament times, and the tournaments are a big thing that we're very interested in doing. With 6 courts, you can get a lot of people to come in and play pickleball. Those activities will bring people into our park, but also to our local restaurants, bars, shops, gas stations. You're bringing people into the park, into our businesses as well. We could offer pickleball demonstrations on Tuesdays when the food trucks and farmers markets are there. Vendors will love that. The possibilities really are endless. We plan to publicize our programs in the town crier, the OD, on TV, in our newsletter, website, and on the official website of the USA Pickleball Association. Needless to say, looking at the crowd here, our players are very eager to get these programs going. It's kind of addictive. If you've never played it, really, it's addictive. They'll agree. In summary, pickleball is not a fad sport. It is growing like crazy. Like I said, it's the fastest growing sport in the country. For example, the Empire State Games that we just played in, some of us yesterday, had 400 players playing from ages 40 to 80. Several of us also played in a tournament in Florida over the winter. Again, 400 players over a span of 4 days, including professional pickleball players. You might not realize it, but there's a professional circuit for pickleball. These courts, done by professionals, will be the premier place to play pickleball. A top-notch venue. It's a win-win situation. People of all ages can be physically active, playing a fun sport, and our local businesses will get more business. It's exactly what parks and recreation programs should be offering. And I hope that you all can see that, and it really is a great opportunity for us to provide something that isn't provided anywhere in the area. Any questions that I can help you with?
Yes, first of all, compliment you on your presentation.
Okay.
Approximately how many pickleballers are involved in this area? And approximately.
Well, hard to tell because I don't have all of the names of the people who
Sure.
play at the Parkway. But we have a master list, an email list that we keep in contact with our players, let them know when we're playing, you know, tournaments, that sort of thing. I believe the list is about between 80 and 90. And every week, I have people adding to it. Because on our website, on the town website, is a contact for me to, if you're interested in pickleball, send me an email, we add you to the list, and that's the way we communicate. Once it's advertised, once these courts are done and it's advertised, we are going to get a lot more.
You mentioned local schools using, or having a program for pickleball, or a course or whatever. Does New Hartford offer that?
I believe so. I know, I'm pretty sure.
In the past, we know that they have,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Where did they play?
in the gym.
In the gym.
In the gym. All these schools play in the gym. I taught at PBS. We had 6 courts in the middle school, 6 courts in the high school. So maximum participation. Usually you play doubles, so we could have 24 kids playing at a time. And that's the case with this project, 6 courts. Like I said, we'll have 30 people at JCC waiting for 3 courts. We are really excited about this.
The nets and the hardware that has to be set up and secured, is that something that stays there, or is it taken down and reinstalled?
Yep, that's a great question. Those sleeves that you put in, they stay. They're cemented in. In the fall, we can pull the posts out, take the nets out, store them for the winter. That way they're not going to corrode and get ruined. And we put them back in the spring. They're heavy duty.
Okay, but during the summer, during the playing season, that stuff stays?
That stays,
It's not
yes.
taken down and reinstalled every
No.
day?
Oh, no. We used to have portable nets. They got trashed. And, but these are heavy duty, permanent nets.
And you mentioned tournaments, and I thought you mentioned 3-day tournaments. Is that typical?
Not necessarily to start with. I mean, we've never run a big tournament. Those are in places where they have more courts. One of them had 12 courts. Cortland, I think they had probably 25 courts going. But with 6, we can accommodate a lot of people, even if we did it as a 2-day kind of thing. And the tournament could also be used for a fundraiser, because there is a little bit of equipment that we might want, balls and some extra paddles for beginners, maybe a squeegee for a rainy day. But that could be used as a fundraiser. Or if we had a special charity that we would like to donate to, we could use that tournament, profit from the tournament for fundraising.
And you mentioned a nexus with tennis. Is it one-on-one or
You can play
doubles,
singles. You can play singles or you can play doubles. Most people play doubles, mixed doubles or
So we could
women's
have a
doubles.
team.
Yeah, like you 4 are going to take court number 1. You 4 could get. And really, it is, you will learn it quickly. If you have any athletic ability at all.
Even Herb Cully can do it. Herb Cully.
That's a stretch.
On my team.
See what you've started.
And as the population ages, a lot of those tennis players find the smaller court a little more appealing. But the other.
How long is the game?
You can play it whatever you want. When we're very crowded at JCC, we play to 9 points. Regulation games can be 11 points or 15. Sometimes we play 2 out of 3 games. It depends.
And who would be responsible for scheduling the courts?
First come, first served. If we were given the permission to put it on the website, we could set up certain times, like every Tuesday, Thursday, from 5 to 8, open play. We would make sure somebody is there who can kind of help if there was a new player coming in, and provide balls and like that for people that might need them.
Thank you.
We have very eager volunteers to do that, really. We teach new people all the time at JCC and Parkway.
Thank you.
Your players are covered by insurance in the case of any kind of injury?
We signed a waiver at JCC and Parkway, yes.
And you supply all the balls and equipment and so forth, so that's not happening in town, right?
JCC and Parkway provide the balls. Most people have their own paddles. We do have a bag of extra paddles for people tomorrow. Yeah. For the rec program, though, if we get a whole group of beginners, they won't have paddles. So that's where we might want to maybe do a little fundraiser to have equipment for that.
It's great, it's already established.
Yeah, it's a great sport. And I invite everyone, really, to come and even see it at JCC, but also give it a try. I mean, we're
A lot of stuff's happening in our parks, and I think
Yeah,
it's going to be a
it's
great,
awesome.
great thing for you and Russell.
Well, I want to thank you for listening and learning about pickleball. I know it's new to some of you, and we're very excited about the possibilities. This really could be the premier venue for pickleball in the area. We have people travel to Syracuse to play on quality courts because we don't have them here. We want people here.
Pretty soon.
I came from California to come on your courts and they're not ready.
And we do have people come from California, Florida, all that kind of thing, because it's listed on a website, the U.S. Pickleball Association website, that JCC offers pickleball at certain times and days. They look that up, they come in, and they play pickleball with us. So it's
I just
great.
want, can I say one thing? It makes it sound like it's 40 to 80, but I have to say, we have a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Because they played it in high school. My son lives in California. Whenever he comes home, he brings his paddle and he brings his sneakers, and he feels like it's like a family.
Oh, good, so the supervisor and I can play.
There you go.
Thank you.
And it really is a great social event. We have some best friends by playing pickleball. And on Monday nights, after we play, we usually go to Washington Mills, have pizza and wings. That guy loves the fact that we play pickleball.
Yeah.
Because we go to his business.
As a person who's over 80, I'm 87, I tell you, it's a sport of last resort.
No, it's not.
Hi, I'm Rob Berg. I'm the facilitator for the Parkway Center for the pickleball,
Yep.
where I teach older people to play pickleball. But it's older people because there's no place at night for the people that work, who get out of work to go play pickleball. Your choice is the JCC, which is, you've got enough people as it is, but for somebody who want to run down with their friends and try pickleball, or go show somebody how to play pickleball, there's no place in the town to play. So we have to travel like to Marcy or out to somewhere farther out so that you can play after work. You guys would be stuck because you're not free in the daytime like a lot of people. So there's no place for the work, for people who work or anything else. You eliminate good, the people that have to work. And not the retirees like us. But, yeah, it's a gem to have the town park to be able to go play and, and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And I'd just like to add, Wendy, thank you. Last year we worked together, it's been excellent. I think this is a great program. I think pickleball is something that is in our vision for our parks going forward. I think it's great because it brings people together in the community. And, again, it will be on the maps for something that's going to be different. So I want to say thank you again, Wendy. It's been great. I do have 3 bids here. While all the pickleball fans are here, I'd like to see if we can bring that up, discuss it, and maybe before we go out in public hearing, public session, to discuss, pickleball and see if we can make this happen tonight. So in doing that, in the packet we have here, we got 3 different companies. We had Nagel Athletic Surfaces for $23,300 total. We have Oki Court Systems for $21,720, and we have Super Seal Seal Coating Company for $23,500. Looking at that, Oki was the lowest bidder. They are also a professional organization, and again, have done many courts in our area. So if you guys would like to discuss it, have any questions on it?
So the funding is coming from,
So last year in our budget, we added $13,300 to our contingency for parks. The rest of the funding, again, up to you guys, we can use it from our contractual account again. There's money that I saved already this year, over $10,000 that's been saved. We can use that, or I've actually used 2 part-time guys to take on the position of our retiree in the park system that was a worker, and we have a total of We have a total of $21,139 we'll be saving this year from that change that I did. So that's the additional money. So we do have the money for it. Again, it's in our vision for getting this done. And, it's not going to be any impact to our budget at all. And there's more money to be saved on other ends that, again, we definitely make up the additional $10,000 that's here.
so those three figures, we have about 45,000.
No, it's just one figure. It's 21,720 would be the lowest bidder. That's
The figures.
Oh, yeah, we got 13,300 that we put in our budget last year for this.
Well, and then 21,900.
Well, we got 21,139 that's left over from a worker that retired that I replaced with 2 part-time individuals. Yeah, so we got 13,300, and we're gonna get to 21,700, which again, I have in my contractual account, the additional 8,000.
Right.
So it's in the contractual right now of money already that we saved first quarter of this year. So,
Now, do we need to purchase balls? I don't know if we purchase basketballs for the area at all.
basketball.
Yeah, I mean, do we do that type of thing, or do we buy equipment?
No, we're not gonna, so we own the nets already, we purchased that with the grant, so they would supply their own paddles and balls.
I think most of them have their paddles, but I think you're looking for some balls to them, right?
Most people have balls too.
Yeah, most people have balls, but if we were running a clinic for, say, youth, through the rec program, the summer program or something like that, we might need some equipment, extra paddles. If we had 25 kids, a few paddles would help. But that's not crucial. Most of us have balls and paddles and that kind of thing, so, yeah, that's not. And
Yeah.
if we wait to see what's happening with
Sure.
the rec program.
Yeah, where I was going with that, because I didn't know if we, at our parks, if we already supplied, equipment anyways, I was thinking.
We did in the past, we have some paddles and some balls that we
Yes.
did supply.
When they purchased some nets previously, there were, was it 4 or 8 paddles? I think 8 really basic beginner paddles and a dozen balls. So we still have those that we can, that's a great place to start.
But we do own the nets, we did purchase all 6 already. We have the poles and everything, so this actually is the material labor just for the seal coating. And again, that we get it warranted, my idea is that we get it warranted, it's a professional port that, again, people want to use, and it's done professionally. So that's what these numbers would be for, to get that done.
The surface lasts, about 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a 10-year surface usage. Again, it all depends on the pavement holding up. So if the pavement cracks, then this will crack, of course. But I don't see that happening. We use top grade A composite blacktop on there that's certified for tennis courts, which is the same as this. So we bought the right material, put the right material down this time, and we did the right fencing that we were supposed to do. So we did it so, it would stand out among all the other pickleball courts.
And the color's warranted as well, so
Correct.
fading or whatever.
Yes. Yep.
What was the years on the warranty, was it 7 or 10?
Wendy, if you can,
I don't really,
it's on one of these sheets.
recall that. To go through, okay.
It just says he's in business 32 years. I don't see the.
I never read the last one.
Yeah, I had it on one of the sheets, but I don't remember exactly what. Yeah, it was on the sheet. I don't have that part in front of me.
I don't see it on the Oki one. There must be something, yeah, I don't see it specifically on here.
But there is a warranty.
Oh, it is definitely a warranty. though,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I spoke to all these, there's definitely a warranty. They're gonna stand behind the product. Again, the only thing he said, you don't warranty if the pavement cracks,
Right,
then they don't warranty it because that's not, they didn't install the pavement. And if it's on a swamp land or whatever, and we have settling, that's where you're not gonna have warranty. But they warranty their product on there. If the pavement is 100%, then their product goes, they replace it or refurbish it or whatever they need to do, so.
So generally, wear and tear, you know, because that material should hold up.
this should last a very long
Yeah,
time.
So, but if it does wear, then the warranty, that's when the warranty.
Correct. And these are the guys that did the tennis courts over for Utica. And same product. It's the same exact product as pickleball, it's just the lines are different. So,
I think we've already made a commitment to that area, taking the tennis courts out.
yeah, well, we voted on doing pickleball. What we need to vote tonight is it okay for me to use an extra $8,000 out of one of the funds to support the
Taking
project
tennis
being
courts out,
professionally done?
dilapidated, I think it's the right
Correct.
thing to do. Again, we've made a commitment. The only question is, can we afford, this doesn't come out of the grant, this is over and above the grant. Can we afford to do this
Yes.
to complete the project?
Yeah, I mean, just from last year, from the savings that we had, I mean, I was gonna bring up our draft audit, just from operating expenses alone, we saved $600. We're in good line this year. I don't see any issues that $8,000 is going to hurt us in any fashion, so. And the $13,000, we already approved in our budget this year, our last year for this year, for 19's budget, we already approved the 13.3, because I knew that was the amount of the equipment that needed to be purchased to do this. So actually, the $8,000 is to get it professionally done with a warranty, instead of doing it in-house, and then if something happens to it, then we've wasted all that material and we're starting from scratch again. So again, this is gonna be something that's approved by everybody that, that plays pickleball, and, it's gonna be recognized instead of, looked upon as a mistake. So, that's where I'm going with it. I wanted to, we've got our farmers markets there, we got our food trucks, our dog parks are coming alive, and this is right in the center too. This will actually bring everything together over there and finish that whole section of Sherrillbrook Park. And again, it's been bringing people, we've got hundreds of people, last night for, farmers market, food trucks. This is gonna bring more people to our parks to use it, bring people together in the community. So, again, for the $8,000, it's a small price to pay to get, what we're getting for it, so.
So what we got before us is we're going to use the 8,000 contractual.
Correct, yeah, I mean, already, the 13.3 is approved. It's to take an additional $8,000 out, again, to have this professionally done, warranty, and to have it, that it's, a certified, professional pickleball court. I mean, that's really what we're going for here.
I certainly want to support that, and I would make that as a form of motion.
So I have a motion by Rich to approve OP Court Systems for the total price of $21,720. And the price is good for the 2019 season. And this will be for 6 pickleball courts, and to also install the nets and poles for the nets.
I'll second it. I think it's a win-win.
Okay. Second by Rich, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And again, I really want to thank Wendy, because she's been working with me for a year. If I didn't know anything about pickleball.
He didn't even know where the court was.
Listen.
But thank you.
It's just, didn't
I'm
want to know where the
teasing.
court was because it
I'm-
wouldn't look like, but anyway, but no, I think it's great, and really, I want to thank Wendy, and I think this is going to be a great program going forward, so thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Tonight is pickleball night at Kids. They're all headed to play pickleball.
Yeah, early, where do I go?
Come on over.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, Rich, on your back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Herb, I have to get that. It's a great thing.
Because it's warranty, too. I had a problem with the lack All right. Thank you. All right, so we still have public comments. Anybody else would like to public comment? Okay. All right, Bill Cole's here for our insurance premiums. He has some information for us. Bill? That's what the meetings are all, making people happy. That was the best meeting so far this year.
Almost like being on Shark Tank.
Yeah, that was great.
Great presentation.
Oh, yeah, it's just a redeal.
No.
This is the closures and excess.
I'll just go through, if you look at the front page, I try to get all the bottom lines on the front. All your annualized premiums with all your changes is on the left from 2018 to 19. And some of those premiums you're not charged for, because Houston Casualty doesn't charge you unless it's like over $100,000 thing. Like, when we raise the building from 10 million to 17 million here, then they charge you, So some of these weren't charged, but that was the annualized premium from the changes. We had 10 different things that were changed or added with vehicles and different stuff. You can see below all the changes. We had a busy year. And then we also had 6 things that were deleted. So we had more things that were added than that were deleted. And some of the big things, we're taking the building gear from, I came out to a meeting here about 4 or 5 months ago, from 10 million to 17 million, adding 800,000 of contents here also. That was only about $2,500 a year to add those 2 things. That wasn't much. So, and then we just recently deleted, for the police buildings and stuff, we just deleted that. And also added the pavilions for $30,000 each in Sherbrooke, and also the bathroom that was totally renovated up to $74,000. So that was the main changes. And then so bottom line, the annualized premium from last year to this year's actually went down about $730. You have a 3-year rate lock, except for changes. If you change things, obviously changes of exposure can change the premium a little bit. Also, if your budget goes way up, that can change it too. So things like that. Also, if you have more than 20% in claims, so if you have over 30,000, roughly over 30,000 in claims, that will throw off the 3-year guaranteed rate lock. You guys have had, knock on wood, very good claims experience, so it's been under that 30,000. So they're in year 2 of year 3, in year 2 of a 3-year rate lock on that. So
It's cumulative. Is it $30,000 each year? Or
each year, 20% loss ratio each year. So 2 times, it's like 32,000 on 160. So that, as long as you stay below that each year, if you have a year that can spike and go up to 100, they could raise it, a little more than that.
What do we have out in claims right now,
You only had about like, just a couple little auto things, you didn't hardly have anything. A lot of those things didn't even come about, right, Rick, as far as the auto stuff?
Right.
Because somebody hit one of your plow trucks, or your plow truck was backing and somebody was parked in it. I didn't think anything became of that. We just had a boiler claim that was turned in, that was from late January, we just got it late May. And we're gonna, it's like $7,000 for the rec center. And we just checked it with the adjusters checking on that right now to see, so that was about the only claim. And I was just talking with Paul about that before the meeting and stuff, so.
And our last Siemens claim was dismissed by the courts.
So the claims have been really, really good, so that's a tremendous loss ratio. We also have the law enforcement accident policy, that's accidental death dismemberment for the guys in the line of duty and stuff, that's like 50 each, $250 per accident, accidental death dismemberment, and that's a 3-year rate of $2,092 each year with the McNeil Company, Arch Insurance. So that's another thing that shows the 6276, that's separate from HCC. And on the very bottom, separate from HCC, you have the crime policy that's effective 1/1. We took that over, you already had that in place for the $3,000. The storage tank liability for pollution of $2,500, and the excess employer's liability, I just gave you a copy of that for the $1,600, going over your work comp. So those are all your policies, all in one summary on this. If you go to the next page, I'll just briefly go through what we have with Houston Casualty. $1 million per claim, $3 million per year. Sexual abuse endorsement for $1 million. Jump down to employee benefits, if you forget to add someone to the benefits, to the health insurance or whatever, $1,000 deductible, $1 million, $3 million. Public officials liability for your decisions here as a board, $5,000 deductible, going back to a retroactive date, because this is all on claims paid basis, so it goes back to 6/30 of 1993. So it takes you back to, way back to, your first retroactive date of your previous policies. And then non-monetary relief, if someone doesn't want to sue you but wants to stop you from doing something, you have $25,000 per suit, $50,000 per policy period. Employment practices, they have a separate policy for that, for sexual harassment, civil rights discrimination, $1 million per claim. And you have your $5 million umbrella goes over top of all of these things. $5,000 deductible on that. Back wages is included. They have the non-monetary on that too. A wage and hour defense up to $100,000. Go on to the next page. Law enforcement, $1 million plus the $5 million umbrella over top with a $5,000 deductible. And then your excess liability is your $5 million umbrella going over all of your liabilities, your auto, all your general liability, all your employment practices, everything. Then your property, your total limit on property now is $34 million with a $2,500 deductible. And then this just shows you all the bells and whistles that they build in building law and ordinance for $250, EDP coverage for $250, valuable papers $100,000, water backup $25,000. On to the next page. Earthquake and flood are included for $1 million with a $15,000 deductible. Those are your two big exclusions on any property policy. Your auto has 94 vehicles. You have $1 million of auto liability, and on an uninsured motorist, you have $1 million. So if someone hits one of your town vehicles that doesn't have any insurance or has $25.50 like with Geico, you'd have up to $1 million in coverage as if you're going after them, but under your own policy. And mutual aid, you call another, you have a disaster, you call another town in to help you with stuff. If you have damage to their equipment and their vehicles, up to $1 million for their comp and collision and stuff to their portal equipment. Inland marine, we have $3.1 million of equipment. On an inland marine schedule, $1,000 deductible. We have miscellaneous property and equipment for your smaller stuff, not to exceed $10,000 in value, $116,000. And that includes, flood with a $25,000 deductible on inland marine equipment. And for earth movement, like earthquake, $25,000 deductible on the contractor's equipment. And you keep going, a couple more pages, keep going through the premium. And then if you get to, eventually you get to a schedule that has a schedule of all your buildings and contents. Your building and contents, your big ones are going to be the town highway building. You got $3.4 million with $1.3 million of contents. The rec center has $5.5 million, $431,000 of contents. And this building here is $17,680,000 because they bumped it up for inflation, and $832,000 of contents. So those are your three real big ones. And then you go on to the next page, your vehicle schedule. You'll see comp and collision for $500. If you don't see comp and collision, on your bigger stuff, your dumps and stuff like that, that's because they're covered under inland marine schedule. So they're covered under that instead of on the auto. And they'll be listed right under auto, under the inland marine. And all your vehicles, you know, anything within 10 years and newer, you can have at replacement cost. So this is your whole schedule of all your autos, the 94 autos.
Say that again on replacement cost.
All the vehicles within 10 years and newer, you can put them up to replacement cost. So if the values look short, you can raise those values. You know, especially probably your bigger stuff, your dumps and stuff like that, that are on inland marine, those are the ones you want to look at to, you know, to raise up and stuff.
If those vehicles were totaled, you're talking.
Right, for a total. Usually your big items, you know, your plows and stuff like that. So if you'll see after all the vehicle schedule, you'll see the equipment schedule, and then you'll just see contractors' equipment going down all the list here. And I know Rick's looked at this, and, you know, we reviewed this, and this has to be constantly reviewed. This is, you know, you got a lot of stuff, you got 120 some pieces of equipment. And then if you look at, eventually on the third page, you'll start seeing the bigger stuff where it will say auto. And that's like your mag plow trucks and stuff like that are listed on, and you'll see the values right next to those. So the ones that are less than 10 years old, you might, you know, if you think the values are a lot higher and you need to raise those, let us know. We can raise those to replacement costs, anything that's 10 years. Contractor's equipment, as far as the, you know, that's for the vehicles. As far as the contractor's equipment itself, they can do any age at replacement cost, any age for the contractor's equipment. But as far as the autos, that they have to be within 10 years. So that's about everything. You guys have any questions on anything, or?
Did you bring any pens this time?
I got a lot of questions.
Maybe we can all share, I don't know.
I'm gonna leave Gail a bunch of pens.
That is awesome.
Good question. Everyone said it was a quick question.
You know who really needs pens? Right there, Lisa.
She writes a lot, doesn't she?
You got your name on it, too. Did you know that?
Busy writing all the time.
Thanks.
Turn the wall for dick.
Let me see, you got one of my cards.
Anybody got any questions?
Well, that's you going. My brother got thinner ones, and I said, I don't like the thinner ones, we like the thick ones, they're easy to write with, they're easy to grab a hold of.
Okay. Well, Bill, thank you. I want to say Bill, you know, his company did a lot of hard work on this. I also want to thank Rick and Melanie and Gail's office, you know, for all putting all this stuff together.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I never
You get
realized it.
Rick and Gail and Melanie.
Yeah, everybody worked together, and
It's probably, between everybody and our underwriters and everything, like last year, totally putting everything together, I bet you 100 hours of work.
Yeah.
I mean, between everybody.
there was a lot, especially with all the new assets we had and the new building and everything. And you know, I looked at the new building, and they really covered us right, and I think it looks good.
And they're the only one out there that'll do a 3-year rate lock, and it's only for towns that are over 150,000 in premium, so that's a real good, that's a real good thing. And we have over 20 municipalities with Houston Casualty, and we're up to 44 municipalities now, and 87 fire departments and ambulances, so we're, you know, we have all the markets in the state for these. We checked out Nimer last year for you guys. Travelers, we went back to them and tried to get them to come down. They'd had you for 5 years, they had a good 5-year run, but they were like 8,000 or 10,000 higher than the Houston Casualty was, and they couldn't do the 3-year rate lock, so that's why we went with Houston Casualty. So,
And Bill, we had some safety, because we deleted 2 other locations, you know, the 2 locations we had. Did that help us too with the?
That brought it down a little bit, yeah, because we just took off the, you know, the police buildings and stuff like that, so that helped bring things down. But obviously, all the different additional things, that makes it, you know, go up, so. But everything annualized, it actually went down a little bit, you know, versus last year, so with all the changes, so.
Now, since you're here too, because we didn't talk about this, I know pickleball was going to happen tonight, so now that we have pickleball, we're investing that money into pickleball. can we get insured also for the courts in case of vandalism or?
So for the courts themselves, right?
Yeah, or earthquake or anything like that?
Yep, I can, let me check with the underwriters and stuff, I'm sure.
Okay, so if we can check on the pickleball.
On the pickleball courts, you're gonna have six courts there, where
We're
the,
gonna have 6 courts and
six
we have a
courts, where
total.
they're just like tennis courts pretty much, right? So.
Yeah,
six.
so altogether, it's about $55,000 to bring it back to where, it should be.
Six pickleball courts, around 55,000 on the surfaces, yeah?
On the surfaces, yeah.
Surfaces, yeah, so we'll talk with our underwriter, and, it's just like a tennis court,
Correct.
Same. We'll get answers on that right away, our underwriter, they're very, very quick with us with stuff like that. Good. So, you guys just have to so move it, as far as the,
Yeah, is everybody okay with it?
We'll move it.
Okay. Motion by Dave to approve our policy for $60,702.49. The law enforcement accident policy is $6,276, which was a savings from last year, $730.53. Second by Jim. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. I also have two here, the HCC Public Risk Application Declaration. I just need approval to sign this, same as last year. For any approval to sign. So, motion by Rich. Second by Jim. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you.
thank you very much, we appreciate your business.
Thanks.
Take great care of you.
Good job.
We'll see you get a free pickleball.
Yeah, I tell you, I recognize Danny, I used to play basketball with Danny, he was the guy in the 87 still, I used to play basketball, he could make baskets. Him and John Khalil, I played with them for years, bought Capca, those guys keep going and going, right? Hope I'm alive at age 87.
Yeah, God bless them, right?
Not to be playing, those guys were playing right into their 80s for,
Do you have the intent letter for the policy from your side?
that's it right there.
Okay, so that's everything?
That's everything we need, just to go ahead, we'll scan and email that to the underwriter, and we're bound and ready to go, so.
Okay, great. All right, reports from town officials and standing committees. The Assessors Committee, we have Jonathan Birdie for the bar. Term will expire 9/30/19. We'd like to post that online if we can, to get applicants, and then go from there. Motion by Rich, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll put that on the website. Zoning Codes and Planning Committee. Same thing, there's a board position that's going to expire on 6/9/19. Oh, 6/9/19, so it's already expired, yeah, so there's a reappointment, but we haven't put it out. So do you want to put it out put it online also until the next meeting? Okay.
It's been posted. Did you know that she indicated she would like reappointment?
I haven't received any applications for the position, so I don't know. I haven't heard from anybody. Okay. Well, I say we go to the next meeting because we haven't received anything. They need to at least submit. And then what I do is, like, you guys know, I give you the applications.
How long has it been?
It-
You posted it already?
Yep, it's been posted for 2 months now.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't even seen her saying that she still wants the position.
I haven't seen it either, I don't know.
Right, so I think we should wait until we get to get it, and just tell her to submit an application just like everyone. Or at least that she wants to email something to the board, that she wants the position.
They have another meeting coming up, so she's not gonna be able to vote or anything.
She can continue.
No, she can continue until we find one person. But I think we should at least put it out there since we do all the rest. All right, so make a motion, Rich?
Yeah.
To go, put it on, okay. Second by Rich, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So it is out on there? But I'll check anyway, make sure. I don't think I've seen it. Finance Director, audit, payable vouchers. Did everybody take a look at the vouchers today? Okay. Okay, motion by Rich, second by Rich, discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Budget adjustments. Lisa, chief of budget adjustments? What you want to do?
No, those weren't paid into the
They're under? Okay. All right, no budget adjustments. All right, Public Works and Sewer Committee, MS4, Rick?
I have the MS4 report, annual report is ready. It needs to be signed by a supervisor. We will place one copy on the website. Gail takes a copy in the office, and I'll have a copy at the Hartford garage. Pretty much the same as last year. A few changes, but we're good.
Do you have an electronic copy to put online?
I
You have to scan it.
You got to scan it.
Do you have a copy for me so I can get it?
I got 4 of them that got sent.
Okay.
Right where they
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the MS4 annual report?
So moved.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Jim, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Please go to Gail, Rick, or yourself?
Like I said, one copy goes to her, one copy comes to me, to my office.
Gail, would you be able to scan this to me so I can put it online?
Would I what?
I don't have a copy electronically, I'm gonna put it online tomorrow, it's supposed to be on the website.
Okay.
MS4 report.
I just need electronic copy, or one of these copies, but you guys need these, so I just need,
There's an extra
Send
copy
it
there.
tomorrow morning?
there's it, I can keep it, okay, I'll scan this, I'm good. Okay. All right, so I'll put that tomorrow on the website. New detention pond for Scruff Road area. Rick, if you want to.
We've met with our engineers, at great length. Councilman Reynolds and I and the engineers met out there. And we're moving the design forward. Actually, we have a contract line for them to work on the design. I obtained from the county last Wednesday at their meeting a $200,000 grant to build that detention pond with, along with another grant of $160,000 for another project on a 9th Street in the city, New Hartford line. So they were obtained last Wednesday through the contract stage. This year's grant month. We get the contract signed and he's ready to start. He's already started design. So that'll be a big improvement in that area. I believe Mr. Reynolds will agree.
Yes. Well, let's vote.
Okay,
Let's proceed.
so what I have in front of me is a proposal for engineering services for the Woodbury Detention Basin. This is from Dunn Skirmone Engineers. They've been familiar with the project, and their preliminary design phase services is a total cost of $25,000. Their final design phase services is an anticipated cost of $10,000. So I'm saying that if I can have a motion to approve this, this will be covered under the grant from the county for $200,000.
So moved.
Motion.
Has the corrections been made to the spelling?
Yes, I got the new one here.
I gave him the newest one.
Yep.
Yes.
There's some spelling errors in it, but we fixed those. So, motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Rich. Discussion?
Under discussion, I'd just like to thank Rick. This came together, and certainly council too, relatively quickly at kind of all at once, and Rick was up against the deadline with the county to get it in, to get the funding, and he did a lot of work to make sure that happened. And again, council did a great job in securing the property, so thank you, gentlemen.
We've got to provide some kind of services
Right.
along with that,
Right.
but like we will build the road back to it, and we have millions that we use and build the road with, et cetera. So some of our in-kind work will go along with that.
And with this, the detention pond, this actually takes multiple areas.
Well, I've got a list
You
of the
know.
streets that this actually affects, and it starts there, goes all the way down to Genesee Street, Jordan Road, Wilbur Road. That whole corridor is actually
Yeah.
affected by the water coming off the hill.
And even coming down Woodbury too, right, and all that.
Absolutely, Woodbury also.
So, I mean,
I
it's.
think we learned some things when we were up there about how Woodbury is fed too. So it's
Yeah, it's pretty.
Cheryl Lane,
Yeah. So-
And we need to have a resolution authorizing Paul to sign the easement agreement.
okay, but we've got a motion on the contract right now, right?
Yeah,
Oh, I
we're
think-
at discussion. Yeah, no, we didn't vote yet. So all in favor?
Aye.
So I signed the contract, I'm gonna submit this to Gail. So you'd send it to them for a letter saying you have the award. So the next thing is, this is a,
This is the Pierce deed for the Pierce family. You're gonna have to sign that easement agreement that we already prepared,
right,
and we need a resolution authorizing you to sign it.
okay.
I'll move
That's
that.
on
Make a resolution authorizing you to sign the agreement.
Motion by Dave, second by Rich. Discussion. And again, I want to thank, Dave, Rick, Herb on that, because, you negotiated to get that, because without that, we couldn't do the project. So it was good teamwork on that, and we'll move along. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
This is the deed where we consolidated the parcels.
Okay, so I don't.
This is them.
Okay, so I see it. Yeah, no, I understand it. I didn't know.
This is, I just sent that to Dave.
Is
You've got to wax these tables. That's what I emailed you.
Somebody in your office needs to instruct.
No, what I do is I email them to Barb and say, that's what I do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so next on the list is summer employees. So we have some for parks and some for highways. So for parks, we have the list that's in your packet of all the total laborers and their wages. These are approved, these are in our summer help, part-time labor. And if I can have approval to approve these. Motion by Rich.
Second.
Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next one is for the highway department. We have three people here, four people. Tyler Penry, Fox Humphrey, Sam Williams, and Jay Ellington. Salary is $10 an hour. It's seasonal, temporary, again, in budget, and they're laborers for the highway department. Motion by Rich. Second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have the old leaf machine, and pieces of galvanized pipe, 7 feet.
It's 7 foot in diameter,
Oh, okay.
and it's 20 foot long. It's an extra piece that we had from the job on Oneida Street out by our town line in Paris. It's just a big monstrous piece of pipe that's in the way at the highway garage. We have no other use for it. I just assume surplus it and put it on auction, along with the 3 other leafer machines. We had a total of 4. I kept the best one out of the 4 in case the truck goes down. We go back the old way with one. But the other 3, we're not going to need them. Our machines are proven to be worthwhile. They move right along. Good use, timely manner. And I just sort of surplus them and get rid of the 3 that we're not going to use.
Motion by Rich, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. You're gonna come and take care of that, right? Just quick, the CSC's task force, Barb at nighttime not able to make the meetings. She hasn't been, so we wanted to replace her with Lisa for one of the staff members. So Lisa Smiggles, we'd like to replace. So I guess Barb would have a resignation first. So if we accept her resignation for the CSC task force. Motion by Rich. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. And then we'd like to replace it with Lisa Smiggles. So if I have a motion to approve Lisa as one of the staff members.
Move it.
Motion by Rich, second by Jim. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And Joe actually resigned a while ago from the CSE team as coordinator. We're gonna have a meeting next week to see if we can find a new coordinator for the group. So if you guys can accept Joe's resignation from the CSE team, we'll have another one that will take that spot for that group. So, motion by Jim, second by Rich. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's it right now. So, resolution, standard workday resolution, Dan Drymiller, which is Lisa's here to represent him, so do you have anything on that? Okay, I don't think that. Is that something that Dan?
It's right here, the standard workday reporting resolution,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, do you have the one?
as set forth in your packet.
Okay,
And Barb printed it out on the computer.
okay.
This was my rough draft here.
So do we have to accept this?
Yes.
Motion to approve it.
Okay. So a motion to approve Dan's workday, the Director of Finance, standard workday is 6 hours. Current term began 1/31/19. This is for Dan Driver. Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Onondasa's 4th of July fireworks display permit. I got a motion to approve. Motion by Dave, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Public hearing to amend zoning fees. Herb?
Yeah, local law K at the end of your packet, it says of 2018, that's got to be corrected to 2019, I believe. And it's to increase and add new fees as it relates to some of the solar items that you've previously provided for. Right, Joe? These are all in the solar?
The solar is actually correcting that typographical error that I didn't catch initially.
Okay.
It was supposed to be 10 cents and you should not just 0.01.
So that's the basis for this?
That and the review and inspection fee on building permits is increasing.
So we're asking to go forward and schedule a public hearing as it relates to this local law.
July 17th is the next meeting.
What date? I'm sorry.
July 7th.
17th is the next meeting.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'd like to ask you guys a question. So in the parks, a lot of people have been complaining about these people smoking, throwing their cigarette butts, smoking in the playground area with the kids, all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys are interested. A lot of parks around have smoke-free parks. That might be something that we want to look into. You know, having a smoking park doesn't really bring any qualities to the park, and there's been constant complaints. I don't know if that's something you guys are interested, but maybe we have to do one of local law.
Yeah, I gotta look into it
Okay.
too.
I thought we did that. When Mike was still here, I thought we did that. Maybe not.
Well, I don't see it on the books.
I remember talking about restaurants.
That's right, I thought we did that, but
We have no smoking policy already
We have, yeah.
in any town buildings or?
Mike Jeffries was here.
And I know it's near any schools. I can't tell you exactly, it's in the green code book.
All right. Well, so I guess if we do have that policy, then I guess I'll ask you guys for approval to buy signs, because there's nothing posted. So you can't enforce something that's not posted. So, you know, we can buy some nice signs, maybe put something in the front park or something that says, you know, it's a constant thing that people complain about, especially now in the playground. You know, the wood chips and everything, people are just throwing their cigarettes and letting them burn, and, you know, and again, picking them up all day long on the walkways, and, you know, so.
Post that in the newsletter too. Post that in the newsletter.
Yeah, well, yeah, we post it everywhere, plus I like to put some, again, the signs are key, because then we can at least enforce it, but you can't enforce them if there's not, and there's never been signs that say smoke-free or no smoking, so, you know.
I think it affected the trails also.
Well, that's, yeah, it's that, and the playgrounds are huge now, people just, I mean, it's a mess.
I think we've already done it, let's get the same.
Okay.
Can we also include this complex here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
Because the
I thought we
cigarettes
had
out
that
front,
down.
people who go to court is unbelievable.
yeah, it's all over the place. So is that something
I
Herb can?
think that you not leave it smoking on
Okay, good. Thank you.
And then if that's the case, you guys okay with me buying signs and putting them up? Okay. Okay, great. All right,
Need a motion on that, or just?
I don't know, do I need a motion?
out.
As you guys know, we did the franchise audit for our cable fees. We got that back. The franchise, or the cable company owes us $110,370 for miscalculating the franchise fees. So they'll be sending us a check minus the deductions that we approved to go out with this time. So it was $110,000 we found money. Union negotiations are starting with the parks. We're going to be finishing them up in December. If you guys have any suggestions or any ideas or anything that you would like to see or anything, send me an email. We're discussing it now. So again, this is not administrative. This is just for the actual workers in the park. All right.
Is there a copy of the actual contract that we have right now?
Yes. Yeah.
Check a copy.
Sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep. The other thing I want to talk to, we have a lot of people retiring lately. We've had an executive session issue. When people retire from the town, most corporations or jobs have an exit contract that states what they get when they leave from the manual that they have. So, I was looking at, we have an exit contract for each employee as they retire from the town. It states what they get that day they leave. So if it says they get lifetime benefit, they get lifetime. If it says they only get 2 years of benefits, they get 2 years of benefits. I think it protects us from them coming back after the time, and I think it protects us from those situations that somebody says, well, you did it for them, not the next person. And we approve it by the board, their exit contract, and they're given to the employee, and that's their contract for good. It definitely matters with the benefits. There's been a lot of changes in the handbook over the years. Again, and you don't want people coming back again after years come that they got a different deal than someone else might have. So in saying that, again, the wordage would come, illegal, of course. I asked the board if we can do that. I think it's more of a professional way of, having a retiree exit, and everybody's on board. The board knows what they're getting, the person knows what they're getting, and they can't come back after time and change that. So, I don't know if you got any input.
Well, I think it's a great idea. It's a no-brainer. Don't be said the fact that there's a labor agreement involved here, and that would have to mirror the labor agreement
Correct.
relative to parks or highway or whatever, so it's,
Just be more than union.
No, it'd be an exit contract, so the day you leave, whatever was in the contract as of that day, or the handbook as of that day, that's what's in your exit contract.
right.
So so in case something happened 5 years ago, and a new administration's here, and then something changes again 5 years, and now that person comes back and says, hey, you guys have a different handbook now, it states this, I want that, because I didn't get that. And I thought it was supposed to mirror the handbook forever, so.
I think the handbook is the easy part, it's the labor agreement that's going to be
Right.
Yeah.
a challenge, not something we can't overcome, but
Right.
that's where it has to start.
Well, it would just be mirrored from that labor agreement at the time, it would be in the contract, that's it, you're not really changing anything, but it's as of there that they're signing off on it, we're signing off on it, and it's something that says on the bottom they can't come back here.
Sometimes the labor agreement is interpretive.
Right, well, that we gotta change,
Well,
I know what you're getting, right.
Well,
Right. So as long, but again, at the end, we're gonna review the contract at the end, and they're gonna be approved by us and the individual that retires. So you'll be able to look in there and figure out that contract verbiage, you know, for the future, so.
That happens if they're exiting their.
Exactly, yeah, so now we have somebody retiring, perfect example, Eileen's retiring, correct? So Eileen would have an exit contract of what the town has in their handbook at the time she retires, she signs off on it, we sign off on it, and there's nothing that anyone can come back either way down the road, so. You know, I just think it's a more professional way of having somebody retire and everyone knows where everybody is.
And they sign it, you sign it, whatever.
Exactly, and then on the bottom it says, you know, you can't come back 3 years, you want something different. You sign when you left, this is what you get.
It's clear, things professional.
I agree. So,
Yeah, but like, you know, the Councilman Reynolds said, we do have to abide by the agreements.
of course, but then legal would put that together, and then we would review it, they would review it, and then again, once it's signed by both parties, the board would actually approve their exit contract. So everybody gets to see it, everybody, it's out there, everyone sees it, you know what we're dealing with, and it's not something, again, that, you know, say we do something for somebody that's in the handbook this year, and 10 years ago, something else was different, and then they come back and say, well, you didn't do it for me, and I was, you know, that's all I'm saying, I'm trying to alleviate people coming back with issues. But, so in saying that, do I have a motion that we propose to write an exit contract for all employees after retirement?
I'll definitely.
Okay. Motion by Rich,
Second.
second by Rich, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So if you all will start with Eileen, would be the first person that, you know, we do one with, and that will be our, you know, our run with it, and then we'll go from there.
You want to know our smoking policy
Yes, I would love to.
from 1990? Smoking is prohibited in all indoor places of employment of town employees under the jurisdiction and control of the town of New Hartford, except in areas specifically designated for smoking. Smoking is permitted in an enclosed office occupied by a person who smokes, or if it is occupied by more than one person, provided that all persons in the office consent to the smoking. Smoking is not permitted in a conference room or meeting room or any enclosed private office unless all persons in such place consent to smoking. No person should carry a lighted cigarette, cigar, pipe, or other smoking material in any indoor hallway, passage, or other common area. Smoking is prohibited in auditoriums, gymnasiums, restrooms, elevators, classrooms, hallways, employees' medical facilities, and rooms or areas which contain photocopying equipment or other office equipment used in common. Okay.
So I guess in saying that, we need to do a local law. So we can't
So we've
smoke-
already addressed it, but whatever it takes.
But no, it says I can smoke in my office.
That's a
Everybody approves it.
classic.
But I think as far as the parks, we already addressed it.
Well, I think we should address
But
it.
that needs to be addressed in a simple way, is no smoking.
Right.
And it should, and I know it doesn't, but it should include company vehicles also.
And e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it still has a smell, and I know it's scented and so forth, but I think even.
No, I agree with it, it was a good comment.
So I think we need to update that.
Yeah. So can we do it now, because the summer's here, and like I said, I'd like to take care of the parks at least at this point, and out here too, because it's an ashtray.
We say going into Hartford Shopping Center, it's a smoke-free area.
Who'll send it down there?
That's it.
Well, no, I want to finish the smoke roll, because we have to
So I'll go
talk about local law, right?
Right, we gotta draw it.
Okay, so we need a.
Yeah.
So I have a motion, we approve smoke-free New Hartford for parks and our building.
All.
No.
I need land, right, anything public land.
Yeah, building.
We're gonna do a local law.
Yeah.
So it's kind of-
So it's, no, well, it's a motion for me to go out and draw the local law.
So
And I'll present it.
Motion by Jim, second by Dave, discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Okay, did you guys get? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, what are the consequences for breaking this law?
Well, it would be listed in the law.
Right.
Okay,
A fine, something such as that.
okay.
Or just removal from the parks. So if you're in a playground, the police come, they can just have you removed from sitting there smoking.
And I don't know if that's an issue, but you might want to include vaping.
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I didn't hear
Jim
that.
just did, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did everybody get, there's a zoning board application. Did everybody get it? Michelle Medina? I put it in everybody's mailbox because I didn't have a electronic name. Okay. All right, just wanted to give it to you. Okay. I do need a motion though to approve to accept $110,370 from Troy and Banks for franchise fees from Time Warner Cable. Second. Motion by Rich, second by Jim, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Go ahead, David, get something.
Just, and Mrs. Garrison's here tonight. Last month or the month before, council was asked to research other municipalities that have tried to address limbs and brush and trees hanging over adjacent properties. And he supplied us with examples from other municipalities. And from what I can see, I don't see where this addresses our issue. I don't have any answers, and I appreciate the work that went into this, but I've gone over this as close as I can, and I don't see where it addresses our issue. And I didn't know Mrs. Garrison was going to be here tonight.
Well, in looking at the Village of Valley Stream,
Yep.
all lawns, hedges, shrubs, brushes, weeds, and growth or vegetation of any kind shall be kept trimmed and shall not be permitted to become overgrown. And it relates to no grass or weeds in excess of 12 inches.
That's 64-8C.
Yes.
You think a lot of reasons why they don't address it in these laws is more it's a civil
It's a
issue?
civil, it's usually, I mean, I know how busy our codes department is, and usually the tree issue, as I've indicated, is a civil between adjoining landowners.
This is the closest it comes to that, but it still
Yeah.
doesn't address it.
It doesn't, no, I didn't find any that did.
Right.
And a lot of these stuff came from the Association of Towns, and they gave me what they thought the best ones they gave were.
It's basically subjective to, it's,
Yeah.
what's overgrowth or what's this?
Well, yeah, that portion is. In this case, there's no question about, it's over the property line. It's not a situation where it's become overgrown. It's not overgrown, it's just a natural tree doing its thing, but it's doing it over on somebody else's property. But it isn't really overgrowth.
But in those cases, they'll tell that landowner to cut it on their area. I don't think any municipality is going to get involved.
Get in the middle of that.
Right. I don't think
And
they
Joe,
want.
have you done that in the past?
No.
On trees or?
What if it's a danger?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
She said, what if it's a danger?
Well, again, it's a civil matter, I believe.
Well, I think if the tree splits or gets hit by lightning, it's falling on something, I think code takes over at that point, right? Yeah, I mean, that would, if it's a danger to the public, yes. Yeah,
Nuisance.
but I think that's different than overgrown. If it's a danger, we take care of it, but if it's overgrown, inconvenience, then we don't, because it's not a, because there's been a tree that's been coming down and right of the roots, or, you know, if Joe went over it, he took care of it, because somebody could get killed.
Right.
We're not, you know, we're not doing that.
No,
Just to
that's
be
not the
clear,
case
okay?
here. All right, I just want to bring that up. Again, I didn't know Mrs. Garrison was going to be here. Also, the CO, I spoke to Joe earlier about the CO for the apartments on Clinton Road. They needed to go back to the planning board before they were issued a CO.
Well, and again, looking at the video, that we had a contingent CO, that afterwards they had to go back to the planning board.
The CO was contingent on going back to the. plan.
No, it
I
was
thought they
contingent.
got it, and then.
They got a contingent CO, and then by the end of the year, they were supposed to go back to the planning board to do the road changes, whatever they had to do to get a full CO.
This was the one where they were changing the two driveways, isn't
Correct, yeah, they were changing the drivers, and we gave him a temporary, and we voted to give him a temporary CO, so he can rent the apartments, because remember, he asked if he wanted to rent his apartments and see where he's at, and then he.
Town board does hereby grant Hartford Luxury Apartments a temporary certificate of occupancy
Right.
upon the condition that the developer return to the planning board for approval of the amended site plan.
Yeah, I remember he had to go to the planning board again, but he would get a it was contingent, occupancy, right, Joe, or no, am I wrong, or?
Well, that's the way I did remember it.
Well, me too,
When
so I don't remember us
When I
not.
saw the video, it echoes that resolution.
These are the minutes that we just approved,
Oh.
and that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, no, I
When I
understand what
read
you're
the
saying.
minutes, it says,
Allison questioned me, and I said, no, that's not what, and then she sent me the video, and that's the way the motion was made.
do they have a CO now? So they need to go back to the planning board.
Unless you modify that, amend that resolution.
Because I thought we weren't putting a road in because he said he was still using it as construction access, correct?
Correct.
So when he finished the construction, when he finished the stuff, he would put in the road, but he had to do it in 1 year. We gave him a year, didn't we not? Or I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we gave him a year, didn't we?
That's not how the motion got made, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for a year, once he gets the CO, but to get the CO, he's gotta go back to the planning board, because he's doing it in phases now, it would amount to.
Oh, for that part, but for the phase that he has now, I thought we gave him a temporary CO for the phase that he completed now. Then he was going back to the planning board for the new phases.
Exactly.
Within a year.
Would it in 1 year?
Within a year.
But we gave him a temporary now so he can rent it, because remember he said, if I rent it, I'm gonna keep building, if I don't rent it, and I'm not gonna put any more money in. So we said about the road getting finished, he said, well, I'm using that for the construction road, when the project's all complete, I'm gonna put the pavement in. Exactly, have big heavy loading trucks going through it.
But he knows he's got to put that road in.
Oh, of course, yeah, and he can't, if in 1 year he doesn't do anything, Joe revokes his CO.
Well, yeah, and you would just conditioned upon within 1 year and coming back to the planning board to amend his final approval.
For the 1,600 units, he's still got pending.
So, I mean, I guess that's how I interpret it, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, you know? I mean, I remember us giving a contingency that, or he could go in there, rent the units in the current phase that's complete, go back to the planning board for any changes for the other units, and then finish the road.
And I wanna see this thing go, but my understanding was, it was not phased. Now he's going to do it in phases, and in order to do that, he needs to go back to the planning board to establish that. I'm just saying, it's not what our minutes reflect.
Well, wasn't this an overlay?
It is.
It's an overlay, so the jurisdiction is with this board, subject to seeking the recommendation.
The reason I insisted Steve Buck come back to this was because he wasn't putting that other road in.
Right.
But also because he needed the CO on the 36 units immediately.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, I agree with Paul's interpretation, but the minutes, or the resolution doesn't reflect what I remember.
So the resolution would be that he get a temporary CO for the 36 units currently in existence, and that within 1 year, he's to return to the planning board for an amendment to final and/or a phasing of
And
his.
no CO is to be issued on the other new buildings he's currently in the process of building.
Unless granted by the town board hereafter.
We didn't say that?
I wrote hers word for word off the video.
Okay.
And thank you, Allison, for correcting me too.
Yeah, because so.
So we want to rescind the prior resolution relating to the, I don't know what the name of the subject, relating to the temporary COs for the Hartford luxury units. Somebody's got to make a motion.
Motion by Rich.
Second.
Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
And we want to propose a resolution authorizing Joe Booth to issue temporary certificates of occupancy for the current building that is completed, which has 36 residential units, and that Mr. Buck would thereafter, within 1 year of today, have to come back to this board and/or the planning board to seek approval of an amendment to final and/or a phasing of the remaining construction.
Can we put in the fact that he has to put that road in, or?
That's gonna be what he's coming back for. As it is to amend, because now he wants to change it.
I mean, that's gonna be up to the planning board and the town board.
Right.
It comes up with an alternative.
Right, you have the full control, however, you always refer to the planning board to get their recommendation, but everything lies on a PD with you.
I just want to make sure that road goes in, that's all. Because that's the whole reason why, because of the two access points, emergency vehicles, I just think, you get something like that built there. And I know that was a big thing for me.
We're gonna have the final say on it before he can finish out anyway.
Right, right now he only has the 36.
Yeah, we're only
and
doing
that's it.
temporary and 30, which again, I'm wrong, but I guess I thought that was what he came for, and we approved, so. Motion made.
I think we already did, didn't we?
No, that was the one to rescind. Now we need a motion to,
Motion.
motion by Jim, second by Rich, discussion. All in favor? Aye. I have something here. Oh, no, go ahead.
We talked briefly, I think we talked briefly about equipment that works on some of these projects. And the Clinton Road project is a good example where we've got extensive stormwater issues, commitments. And I don't have any doubt that it's been taken care of, but we don't have any way to follow up on that. And I would like to propose that when the developer comes in, our engineer or we employ someone to be the clerk that works on these projects, paid for by the developer, so that we're assured nobody's inspected that, for instance, or any other project, to make sure that they've done what they said they were going to do to the planning board or to this board. Right now, that loop never gets closed, and things fall through the cracks, and a year later, 2 years, 10 years later, we say, well, he wasn't supposed to do that, or was supposed to do this, and we're losing it. That cost, again, would be passed on to the developer, but we need to establish somebody as a clerk who works on these projects.
I agree. And also, too, to add to that, I think that person also needs to put in, if they have sewer, how many units they are, and bring that back to the assessor's office, because that's another thing, too, is that's how last time we had no people paying for sewer, because it was never finished up, no one knew, no one went out and inspected.
Classic example of falling through the cracks.
Exactly, so I agree, I think there's a local law for our code, though, isn't it, of what the engineer's responsibility is?
Yes.
So I think if we.
Is that part of it?
I'll check.
It's not, actually.
We need to include that.
Yeah, we gotta include that in there. So I think if we include that in our local law, then that will be done, and again, it'll be a finish up. And I think what needs to be done is there needs to be a checklist and a report that's furnished at the end of every project. Again, that I brought that list, remember, for the planning board to do the checks, or maybe have the engineer do it. That's it right there. And what you would actually do at the end is have a report. Did the sewer get hooked up? Did the water get hooked up? Did he have a driveway? Did he pay for a permit for his driveway? Did he pay mitigation fees? All that should be in there. And then you guys, in the planning board, everyone has a report, the residents have a report, and we could put the report right online. So I like that, But I'd like to have something in hard copy. Because as you know, every project years ago was, somebody would do it, and even if they came back to us and said something, we never had anything on paper you know, as a completion signed off by the town board and the planning board and the engineer. And I think that's really what we need to do. And even the developer, have him sign off on it. So again, if there's- exactly, and if any issues come about 10 years from now, there's the copy of the plan complete of what they agreed on. So,
We should have a copy of that report, which is driveway permits.
Exactly.
Exactly. And right now, since we've got credits involved, you know, that stuff's taken care of before it even goes to Joe, before a permit's issued. But we should have a hard copy that we inspected it, the day we inspected it, is on the permit of the sewer. But it should still, we have records of our permits for driveway, but not deal with report like that would.
and then even in the beginning for mitigation fees, perfect example. If I set the mitigation fees and then they don't come with the check and pay for it, if I'm not talking to Joe every day, they're getting their permit from Joe, and now I have to go chase the mitigation.
Now it needs to be checked.
Exactly. So I think that would help Joe also, and myself too. So I guess what's the process for?
That's my next question.
Yeah.
What's the process?
Well, let me take a look at it and see what
See
we
what's
have,
there.
see what we have to amend.
Okay. And lastly, Joe, the fire on Genesee Street, have you been involved in the fentanyl there, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what's this? I should have asked you before, I didn't, I'm sorry.
Well, we didn't proceed under the unsafe building.
Right.
Act.
Right.
And the Adjusters International, Mark Phillipson, is in the process of taking bids on the demolition. What he told me was Dan Crusoe bid on the job, and as a result, all the other competition in the area does not want to bother submitting bids because Dan Crusoe usually bids so low. So they're having difficulty getting 3 competitive bids, much like our lawn bid.
So it's in process.
It's in process.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe, I know Rich Woodland called me earlier about the one in the Manners. Do you have an update on that one?
We've got about 10 in the managers.
The fireman.
Dan Crusoe has his equipment there today.
Yeah, they're doing it today.
Okay, well, I know Richard called about it to make sure you're on.
Thanks.
Yep.
Just curious, how'd that one jump over the trailer? How did Dan get that one, to do that one?
The town isn't removing it, it's private.
Okay.
Okay, we got to approve the lawn bids. There's only one from Tom Massidi for 4 cents a square foot. That came online for the lawn care. The one on Nyack was such an issue, I had the guys from Hartford over to do it, so we're going to charge back for that.
All that 4 cents a square foot is just for the initial knockdown.
Okay.
Well, the bid is actually 4 cents and 2 cents.
2 cents. But I have a request. I didn't know that the lawns were gonna be 2.5 foot tall. I thought, because last year we mowed the first week of May. And now, of course, we're in the middle of June, and every lawn is like this. And I'd like to, raise the initial a penny if it's possible.
Well, we had the bids. The problem is
I know,
once the
yeah.
bids are in on the 29th, it closes. So the price is the price, but yeah, that's about it, so. And in saying it also too, last year, what was the total?
We spent quite a bit of money as opposed to the previous years.
Yeah, last year it was 3 cents a square foot after the initial, it was 4 cents, and then it was 3 cents. So I lowered it down to 2 cents this year, because we didn't have to get that much out of it.
Okay. So you actually submitted, I seen you submitted 2 bids?
Well, it don't happen, I couldn't get in online, I kept on trying to punch it in, and I couldn't get in through the computer, it kept on saying you have to file a new.
Oh, because you were already in the system.
I was in the system trying to do it, and
Oh,
so
okay.
I did it probably a couple of,
Okay.
it's the same amount.
Okay. So so there's 2 bids you submitted. One was for 2 cents and one was 3 cents.
No, that was last year, was 3 cents.
Right.
They both were the same, they should be. 4 cents a square foot for the initial,
Yep.
2 cents a square foot
for after.
thereafter.
So,
He's the only bid we received.
that was the only bid that we received.
And we waited for the fact that it's we can't wait anymore. Right, no, I think we, unfortunately, we can't raise the bid either.
We can't do anything, it's gotta be what it is.
Make a motion, we accept Mr. City's bid.
Motion by Dave, second by Rick, discussion. All in favor? Aye.
I do have a question too.
Sure.
Goes back to the trailer and curb man.
Yep.
You know, I know it's gonna be demoed, but, you know, it looks horrible. And to your point, the grass is now probably 18 to 24 inches. I don't know if it's worthwhile to go in and clear that so that the, you know, Dan Caruso can see what he's got there, or if it just, is it worth doing or not?
Yeah, I mean, either way, if you want, I'll send somebody over there to do it, or if you want, I don't know if you can do it, whatever, however you want to work it.
I don't know how many you got this year so far, I know we're.
I did the ones on Niagara already, I took care of those.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's, again, I know it's gonna be demoed, I just don't know if it's worth spending money on it, but I know it
Maybe
looks
after it's
horrible.
demoed.
Well, they're gonna have to see, I mean, it's all around it. I mean, so you're gonna have to see what, to get in there, I guess. It's prep wise before.
Do you want to just take another look, tell me what you want to do, if, either way, or we can go ourselves and get it done. I'll just send, when they do cul-de-sacs, I'll just have it hit that quick. Anything else, Dave?
No.
Rich?
Yeah, you wanna give an update on the second phase and, bring it up?
I was going to bring it up.
Okay.
He said to everybody else.
Before you do that,
Yep.
because there's, anything else that you got? No? Okay. I just got one thing I just want to go over quick, is Eileen Spellman, after 20 years of service to town of Hartford Senior Center, is retiring. So I think this would be, I'm going to give this to her, because again, as for payout and sick time and everything, this could be our first exit contract. So do we have to accept her retirement?
Is resignation? or-
Yep. Retirement.
Yep.
So moved.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that'll be our first contract for employee and.
That's the contract.
Yep. Okay.
Is there any, like, a proclamation or something that we could do?
Definitely.
For her years of service?
Yep.
Something?
We were gonna, my office has them from years ago, so we'll put one together and maybe we'll have a little.
Yeah, flag or something. some kind of-
So, also too, I wanted to mention, as you know, the building of course is complete. We still have some finishing up things to do. I'm gonna get together with the contractors and Rick, chief, and other staff members to see what needs to be finished and critiqued. I'm gonna submit those to the contractors before final payments are done. And in saying that also too, we probably wanna have a nice grand opening. Have a little, maybe demonstration outside or some walkthroughs or something. So if you guys by the next meeting wanna come up with a date that works for everybody, because I like to have everybody there. So, come up with a date that works for everybody. And, let's see if we can start putting it together and have a nice open house and, welcome everybody from the communities and things. Chief, did you have anything on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only request I would have is to hold off maybe till end of summer, early fall, only because we're still getting some of the rooms.
Correct, yeah. That's perfect. So yeah, if you guys, but I like I said, I'd like everybody to be here, so maybe we did it later in the day or something, and everyone can be here, and I think it'd be nice.
Now, when we're posting that position for Eileen, is it part-time, full-time, or what is?
So I was gonna bring that up, because we gotta vote on that too also. But for the building, is everybody good, just kind of coming up with something, some plans, any ideas, anything you'd like to see? And if you walk through the building, anything you'd like to see finished or done or something that comes up, just, tell me, that's all. Send me an email or call me or whatever. Getting back to Eileen's position, I don't know how you guys want to handle that. Do you want to have, you want to go out for a full-time position? Do you want it to be part-time currently? You know, we're going to need to do something about that because she's leaving at the end of this month, so.
She actually left Monday.
Well, I mean, but she's still here helping out, she said.
I think we should review exactly what the duties are gonna go forward, because there's a lot of interest by the seniors in the area, and they're looking to, I think, expand the things that we're currently doing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that a part-time position would be able to handle all the things
I
that
agree.
are there, so I think we should just, you know, figure out what it is that we want that person to do, and what type of activities we want, and I think there's a civil service job description.
Yeah, you gotta get approved by civil service
Right.
first, and there's a test to it also. But Barb will handle that end of it and then bring back who got approved or not.
Right.
But I think the job description, if we do change it from civil service, we actually have to send it to civil service and they have to approve the changes. So we might send something and say, no, we want this.
Well, the position itself, the description is probably okay, I just think it's the scope of work that we're expecting that person to do that fits within that job
Correct, yeah,
description.
okay, all right. So if everybody for the next meeting wants to bring details of what they'd like to see, that'd be great. So, and then we'll put it out in the, you know, online in the paper and see who comes. So, actually, there was a lady that came in to see Barb, she already applied, I don't know, somebody new or whatever, but again, it's got to be approved through civil service.
I think she was a senior director in the neighboring areas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's somebody different. This person was a salesperson or something.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, some sales.
Because Marge was telling me that somebody that she knew was on the phone. I don't know if that was the same person or not.
Yeah, no, this person, they just said all sales background.
No.
But, so yeah, so if we come up with something next meeting, then we'll post it and see what, you know, will turn out. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Grange Hill, Rick?
The pipe is in the ground from Magistrate to the creek, the 48-inch oval. He is going to start on the water main switch over, where the asbestos got to be removed, and they got to drop it. So there's just a couple of new valves that we put in, so they'll be starting that either later this week or beginning next week. And then after, once he gets through with Magistrate, then the pipe goes to a 36-inch Bristol and reach out to the bottom. So we're pretty much on target, other than Mr. Harrington's trees got a little damaged. He wasn't too happy. But that's, we'll talk to him and take care of that. But it's moving along. A couple of weeks it should be complete. A couple other things I got was an update on the Shenango Bridge, where it's closed. Last year, in the process of getting the permits through DEC and our Corps of Engineers. The design has been done. We're putting the bid package together with Dale and Lochner to go out the bid. So that's where we are. In my article for July, I'm going to put it in the town crier, an article about the bridge. And I've even got a nice picture that will show what's wrong. Because I'm getting so many phone calls, and so many people are mad about this.
Right, unless you go underneath, you can't appreciate what's happening.
So I'm gonna write about it and put a picture in there showing damage to the bridge and, you know, the reasons why it's closed and how long it's taken. The other thing is, there's gonna be a press release. There's gonna be a meeting here on June 20th in the boardroom here at 6 o'clock for the middle settlement improvements, reconstruction. And it's going to be put on by United County engineer Tim Decker and also Lochner Engineering. And then the reconstruction of Middle Center Road goes from the intersection out here with Lowe's to Route 5. It's a total rebuild. And there's going to be a question and answer type thing. They'll answer questions people have. And through talking to our town supervisor, I was able to hopefully, and I think that it made it, get sidewalks in on one side of it, right from our sidewalks out here,
Right.
right to Route 5. So that's, so that night they'll be here to talk to the public.
On the bridge, Rick, shouldn't that have been, wasn't there a mistake made, or was there a mistake made, or was there, shouldn't that have been accounted for when they redid the bridge?
Back when the first happened with one of the big storms, probably 17, 16, 15, somewhere in there, it wiped out the U-turn,
Right.
the north side of the bridge. And it wiped out where our railroad trail was going to be built. And they came in, Schultz Company out of Albany came in and they rebuilt that side of the bridge underneath. They brought large rock in, they drilled it, they pinned it underneath the bridge, and all the way down, and they brought our land back where the railroad trail is built today. At that time, I asked them, why is the south end not being redone? And they said, no, we don't have the money. So then I went to
the state?
The state. So then I went to Senator Griffo for the bridge. He got it on the list for the bridge to be rebuilt. At that time, they took the deck off, they took the beams out, and it was a perfect time to pilot drive sheeting in there on our end and fix it again. And they would not move forward on it again. They had no money. So the bridge got built. There's two fixes, either pilot drive sheeting there to hold it or make the bridge longer, somewhat longer. So now your creek is not touching the back walls, the pilots. And they did either or. So now here we're back again with third time, bridge being closed, and the repair being made that should have been made the first time.
Is Joe aware? I'm sure Joe knows this. Rick,
Yes.
whose dime is this on now?
It's, Joe Griffo gave us $250,000 grant to fix it currently. But it's not, you know, the fingers are being pointed at New Hartford, the highway superintendent, we screwed up, and it's not the case.
Right.
I fought and fought and
I
fought
know you did.
to get that bridge corrected the first time, and it just didn't, it wouldn't do it. So that's where we are on the bridge.
Do you have any update on the New York Mills Bridge?
New York Mills Bridge, they've been drilling over there by the tracks, seeing what kind of soil we have. It's, they've been designing it and getting bills every month on it. So it's moving forward with construction in 2020.
And they're looking to, I believe, concrete further into the road, going down towards your place. I heard of 3 houses, they're going to pour concrete to the road. Did you hear anything about that?
Well, I heard a couple things, I haven't got they looked at making that bridge longer.
Wider too, right?
And it's going to be wider. I know for a fact it's going to be wider.
Yeah.
But longer, they're going to take 3 houses to do that.
Take 3 houses?
That was part of one of the studies. The second study is that we cannot, it's going to be closed, but the railroad tracks are right there at the end of our abutment of the bridge, and we can't close the railroad tracks. So it's going to be tricky, and how they come up with this. They're looking at a total rebuild, where the whole bridge is totally get rebuilt, and then they're looking at a rehab. So the last I know, they were looking at the total rehab, or total bridge rebuild. That is our last bridge in town of Hartford. Once that bridge is done, all our bridges have been replaced.
As far as we know, that was 2020.
2020 for construction.
How's the trash going?
Trash is going good. We've got, we're halfway. We'll start Ward 3 on Monday, and then Ward 4 the following week. It's been running us about $2,200 a day for fees to get rid of stuff. But it's been going good. I've been getting a lot of data boys that know that our crews are doing an excellent job.
Yeah, a lot of positive feedback.
So between that and we still got the brush, the crews are still out, along with the trash being picked. So we're still keeping up. I know last month we talked about the hot box. The hot box will be delivered Saturday. And we'll have our training in the next week or 10 days or so. So once we get the trash done, we'll have two out there with the hot box, keep going, and road repairs there, will be paid for patching. So that's where we're at.
A lot of good feedback for a trash day and brush pickup so far this year. So
We had a good turnout too. On Saturday, we had the shredder at the highway garage. And he was supposed to be there at 8 to noon. So I'm there at 8 o'clock and we opened up and people were starting to line up and they lined up all the way up to Hartford Street. And I didn't have a truck. So
So you started shredding?
so I called and they aren't open on Saturday, but finally somebody answered. I said, "Where's my truck?" He said, "Well, he's on his way." Yeah, overslept. But we got caught up quickly and it turned out to be a good event. And a lot of people used it.
Also, good job with touching the trucks too.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we had about 150 kids
Yeah.
in 2 hours. Come and look at the trucks, touch the trucks, blow their horns and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, they really enjoyed it.
Told my son you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I said, you're gonna start a whole thing of everybody doing it.
So I'm gonna add a little touch to it next year, buy toy hard hats. So they'll get a hard hat with the town of Hartford insignia on it, with their name on it, and they gotta get their hard hat before they go touch the truck.
That's awesome.
Thanks for doing
Yeah.
that.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, we're working out well. So, just a question, I think we need a resolution for you to go out to bid for the engineering plans for the bridge, no?
Or should I handle?
Huh?
No, we already did that.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
We have no bid this year.
Anything else? All right. I just got some financial highlights, and then we have an executive session, so just quick, I sent everybody the draft copy of the audit for last year, so if you went through it, just some highlights, town's total, primary government net position has increased 1.638 million this year. After this year, the savings that we've had, our general hometown fund expenditures is up to 56% of our overall expenditures for 1 year. Breaking that down, in general hometown, we had $378,000 in fund balance added. Police, we had $237,000. In highway, we had $215,000 addition. And sewer, we had $145,000 in addition. So those are the total. So total operating revenue that was saved last year was about $600,000, and we had an additional $330,000 in sales tax allocated to us. So we're in a good position. I have a meeting on the 19th with the auditors. They did say that our fund balance, they would recommend, is because we're so high after this year, with the cuts and things that we've done to save money, they said that we should use some of that fund balance next year in our budget to go towards our bonding maybe, to offset that a little bit, instead of keep putting more and more in there, because like I said, we're at 56%, which is probably one of the largest in the state, right now. But this year, adding that $907,000, huge addition. So, moving forward, I think we're in a good position. I think this year, again, if you guys, agree, I'm gonna put some of that fund balance money in general hometown towards our bonding that, we did for our building, and that we did for other things, like equipment and all that. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything, or? Go ahead.
If you look at the state controller, you're really supposed to have a policy on the amount of fund balance that you're supposed to have in there.
Yes.
Your sewers are like 350% of your outlays.
Correct. So again, we have a meeting on the 19th. In fact, Kathy called me, your wife, I spoke to her on the phone anyway. I was gonna ask the board after the meeting for a resolution that we only keep certain percentage in there, and again, the rest we use to pay down bonding this year in our budget in the next 2 years. So we'll come up with a plan, like a next 3-year plan of using some of that money just to go directly towards bonding, but still have a nice, good, healthy fund balance. So again, that'd be something that would be help, and, we'll have a policy in place for that. So, any ideas with that? What do you think?
The state makes a recommendation on what you should have.
Yes. 20%. We have 56, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We do it, but again, but what they told the auditors who we sat down, they said for the next 3 years, instead of doing it all in 1 year and showing a different, in tax increases or decreases, he said to take a 3-year period and take 10% of it each year and put it into, your bonding. So you decrease your bonding and you stabilize your fund balance, and you also don't impact tax increases or decreases in that 1 year dramatically.
Is that for the payments? Because there's no principal reductions on those bonds until 27. So this is for payments then?
This is just for payments. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah, this would just be for payments. But the payments still come out of our tax base, so instead of us, say our payments were $500,000, next year, we would use $200,000, and then we don't have to come up with $300, so it would help us in that year budget, plus, it could decrease taxes this year. So we could have a decrease in taxes this year, and we'd still have a healthy fund balance. Then the following year, we could decrease taxes again by using that in the following year. And then, if you guys remember our bond schedule, these next 3 years is where we have our spikes. So our bonding actually goes down $900,000 year 4. So again, this would offset that, and then when we have the $900,000 decrease, that would offset us going back for another 10, 15 years if you don't have to bond, for another 10 years, whatever. So, that's the plan I'm probably going to use for this year's budget, and have you guys look at it. But if you got any input or any ideas or anything, just give me a call. Or
I was thinking the same thing. I know even 3 years that you proposed.
Yeah.
I figured that would help offset that.
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. They're saying that'd be great, and again, it just makes the playing field level,
I know you said it's a tight couple of years.
Yeah, well, these 3 are tight for not bonding. We're still going to make it. Again, looking at the numbers of what we did this year and the cuts that we made going forward. Again, this year, there's not going to be any impact to tax increases, Again, last year's budget that we had, we were under the tax cap again. So, this year we'll definitely make it, I feel the next 3 years we'll definitely make it under the tax cap with no problem. So,
Sales tax.
yes. So, you mean for this year? Okay, so this year's quarter, the first quarter, we're down $25,000. So I talked to Anthony Carvelli on the phone. There's 2 things that we're trying to work out. One is, I don't know if you guys remember, but the state, with their great proposal, said we're going to take AIM funding away from the towns, correct? So then there was a lot of publicity, so they said, well, let's put it back in, but let's take it from the county. So now the county, I believe, is supposed to reimburse, but they did it, so they cut the sales tax for the county end of it. So we still get impacted anyway, the same amount of money, because if you take the 125 that we're going to get cut from the state, and you go 4 quarters with $25,000 less, it's still $100,000. So, what I mean? So we're working on that now. So really, in my mind, if you look at it, like City of Utica didn't get impacted at all, and we did, and we have more sales tax revenue coming from here. I know that doesn't matter because it's distributed between the county, but there's no way we should have got hit. And I know City of Utica didn't get their AIM taken away from them. They got theirs straight, so they got the full AIM, but we did. They were going to take ours away. So I'm thinking that's the only reason we're down 25, because if you look at same-store sales at our malls and stuff, we're actually up for our area across the board. Best Buy's got record numbers. So, and so are all the big box stores in our neighborhood. So again, I think that's where $25,000 decrease comes from. But Anthony Carvelli couldn't tell me on the phone because he didn't know. He told me it was a good question, he's gonna look into it, but that's as far as I
Other
know.
municipalities must have the same thing. I mean, the village.
Well, the cities didn't get hit because they never got theirs taken away. But the villages and the towns got hit that were gonna get taken away from the state. But again, that was a proposal that the government put together because he wanted to.
But his intent was the county would then reimburse us.
Correct, but the county did not, in my mind, looking at, and again, they can't still tell me at the county if that's the case, or they didn't want to tell me, but right now, that's my understanding of it. Looking at the numbers, looking at the same-store sales for our area, and looking at the, present financial situation that everybody's in, that's what I'm coming out with. So again, you could answer me, but I'm feeling that's where it is. Because there's no way the city of Utica could get the same sales tax money, and we've dropped 25 grand. There's no possible way.
Did you ask Mary or Jim to look into it as well? Mary Pratt?
I haven't, I actually got, tomorrow I'm meeting with those guys.
Okay.
For other stuff, so I'm gonna ask them, but I called the county direct, so, that's where I'm at.
I think the village is the same thing.
Right, but that's because they were gonna get cut the AM, and then the county took some off theirs. But the cities, Rome didn't get hit, Utica didn't get hit, none of the cities got hit. Sherrill didn't get hit, so. So I'm still looking into it, I'll know, but right now, as of we're 25,000 to the negative. And then we just got two.
Yeah, motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation to include the Whiter and Champion lawsuits.
So moved.
Motion by James, second by Jim, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All right, we meet in the conference room?
I saw him a while ago, he looked awful. Yeah.
Where you been? I've been in the ring, I haven't even played golf.
You still around here, or you, north, or?
I don't remember now where I saw him with Judge Roy.
Oh, did you? He was in Morristown for a while, he was in Kansas.
We need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Dave, second by Jim, discussion. All in favor? Aye.
We're looking for resolution authorizing Paul to sign any necessary settlement agreement relating to the Whiter and Champion lawsuits, subject to the following conditions. Number one, there would be no monetary cost to the town of New Hartford to complete any settlement. Any settlement would be paid for through the two insurance companies that were involved in the claims, and as well the water board, who also is a party to the lawsuit. Number two, any settlement agreement would contain a confidentiality agreement requiring that it not be disclosed to anyone. And number three, any release that would be provided would be subject to my approval to ensure that they couldn't come back in the future and attempt to raise the same claims.
Motion by Rich.
Second.
Second by Dave, discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by Dave, second by Jim, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All right, thanks, everybody.